So it's been an interesting few months for Doctor Who. We had the 60th anniversary specials, we've got a sort of reboot going on, the tears of reactionary YouTube have been salty and glorious, but there is one question on everyone's minds. One looming, never-ending question, old as time itself. And that question is, where the hell is my Paul McGann spin-off? That question is, will this new era be a success? Because there have been quite a lot of changes in the show recently, and I don't know if you could tell, I kinda like Doctor Who. A little bit, it's alright, I guess. So, I want the show to succeed. So, yeah, sorry to the people who came here hoping I was gonna rant about how the show sucks now. This video probably isn't for you. If you are currently typing a comment that includes unironic use of the word woke, then I'm sorry, but this will just be my immediate reaction. Somewhat ironically. So, during this scheduled hallucination period, I will be looking at what the RTD2 era has brought us so far, what this new stuff spells for the upcoming era of Doctor Who, and maybe finding out why I have no friends. Now, let me just get this out of the way. I like the specials we've had so far. While Blue Yonder and the Giggle in particular are very good, and while not quite on the same level, the Star Beast and the Church on Ruby Road are fun adventures too. There's no denying that RTD charm is still there, with the campiness, the politics and commentary that are smoothly woven into the episodes, and the video game logic climaxes. Some things never change. However, there has been one recurring problem I've noticed in these specials so far. It was something that, at first, I was willing to give Russell the benefit of the doubt about. Maybe I should just give it a couple more episodes and the problem will be resolved. But that definitely hasn't happened, and as such, I feel like it's an important thing to address. And that problem is, why is there no Paul McGann? That problem is the hand-wave explanations for things. There have already been a few times throughout these specials where things happen, and if you try and actually question these things, you just don't get a definitive answer for them. Like in the Star Beast, Donna is able to survive with the meta-crisis longer than expected because she shares it with her daughter, Rose. Yeah, cool. I can get behind that. I am by no means an expert on meta-crisis lore, nor is anyone except RTD, so yeah, they can share the meta-crisis, fine. But it's still slowly killing them, and something clearly needs to be done. But how is the Doctor gonna solve this?
Just let it go. And we choose to let it go. Oh!
So, Donna and Rose can just avoid death by letting the meta-crisis go. There's already been plenty of discourse around this scene, and I don't really have anything new to add to the conversation, but there were so many different ways this could have been handled. What if the meta-crisis was slowly killing Donna and Rose throughout the specials? It would honestly add quite a lot of underlying tension, knowing that throughout the next two specials, Donna is essentially living on borrowed time, and could suddenly die at any moment. Then, rather than duplicating the TARDIS, the Doctor's prize for defeating the Toymaker could be the ability to free Donna and Rose. Or if you're not a big fan of that storyline, make being trans a superpower in the Doctor Who universe. I'm really not picky, just give me something. I mean, I'm glad we got to see Donna again, but whether you liked her original ending or not, I'd argue it was easily the most heartbreaking ending for any companion ever, and you better have a damn good reason to undo it. But this scene just felt very Disney-esque in its execution, and that is a whole other looming problem that's looming over the current era of the show. The whole casting the salt thing in Wild Blue Yonder is kind of weird too. Apparently the Doctor was playing a game by invoking a superstition at the edge of the universe, and thus allowed the Toymaker to travel into the universe. I guess that could make sense from a narrative standpoint, but what was wrong with the explanation that the walls of the universe are weakened due to the flux or something? I feel like that would have made more sense, and it would have added into the actual consequences of the flux that Chibnall just refused to acknowledge. And then there came the Giggle. Oh, loyal viewer! The poor audience. The Giggle wasn't explaining anything. These videos suck and I want to punch you. Now, I love the Giggle as an episode, but there is just so much that crumbles under the tiniest of follow-up questions. And I'm not talking about any of the stuff the Toymaker does. He's portrayed as a being of unimaginable power who can bend reality to his will. I could accept the stuff he does. What I struggle to accept is how Donna was able to immediately deduce that the spike caused by the Giggle is an arpeggio. Now, I'd already guessed that Stooky Bill's laugh was the cause of everyone's insanity. I remember hearing the arpeggio in the music at the end of the preview on the official Doctor Who YouTube channel, which of course I am subscribed to. And I was just like, oh, that was an arpeggio. Okay then. Then in the cold open for the actual episode, I heard an arpeggio being used multiple times in the music and noticed how the Toymaker and Stooky Bill's laugh sounded kind of like an arpeggio. And that's when I began to realize there was definitely a deeper meaning behind it. But how in the ever-living heck did Donna work it out from some spikes? I was barely able to work it out myself, and that was with all the clues we were given. maybe accompanied by the fact that I'm a bit of a music theory nerd. So I just cannot fathom how this makes sense. I know it's a callback to how Donna can make big discoveries from the most ordinary things, but this is just reaching a little too far, if I'm honest. And then immediately after, Shirley is able to find the original footage of Ncuti Bill from that arpeggio. How? Firstly, how did Donna immediately know the spike was a C major arpeggio specifically? It could have been pretty much any major or minor arpeggio, the only difference would be where the notes are positioned on the sheet music, which Donna draws herself. Even with that aside, how did Shirley instantly find Ncuti Bill's laughter? From an arpeggio? What kind of alien intergalactic version of Shazam do they have at UNIT? I love Doctor Who. I love the alien sci-fi shenanigans, and I am more than willing to suspend my disbelief from time to time. But when there are this many plot contrivances all so close to each other, it just baffles me. It's like one step up from the Chibnall era. Ooh, this guy finds a big space onion in the woods, and then his family are attacked on a train by arriving massive tentacles that are connected to the big onion, and then the Doctor just happens to drop from the battle bus into this train, and then a man whose sister was killed by Onion Guy just happens to be an expert in big onions. And then the Doctor and her friends get teleported to a random location in the universe where they just happen to get rescued by a ship in the maximum 30 seconds they have before they die. And then, at the end of the series, we find out that Onion Guy teleported to a random location in the universe, and of all the places in the universe, he teleports right in front of two godlike beings who worship someone who just happens to fit the description of Onion Guy. I need to chill out. God damn, the autism got hands. I don't hate the Chibnall era. It's got elements I enjoy, and things that I would like to see more of in the show. This absurd level of plot contrivance and lack of explanations for things happening is not one of them. Then there's the bi-generation, splitting the Doctor and the fanbase. Now I can accept the concept of bi-generation. It made for a nice twist, and I think the idea of the Doctor meeting and working with his future self is really cool. What I'm not a big fan of is the whole concept of bi-generation barely being explained. It pretty much just ends at, this is supposed to be a myth, but now it's happened, and we are just going to accept that and move on. It's just more frustrating than anything that such a supposedly monumentous occurrence in Time Lord biology is brushed off. It's not like there's a shortage of potential explanations for the bi-generation happening. It could have been caused by the Toymaker messing around with the Doctor's timeline so much. There could have been some sort of connection with Donna and Rose. Maybe the meta-crisis being split between them had an effect on the Doctor too. Once again, I'm not picky, just give me something. Plus, essentially making 15 look like a clone that split from the Doctor made it way too easy for Not My Doctors to dismiss Ncuti as not a proper Doctor. And that's another problem with the Giggle. The two Doctors being together could have been a great opportunity to let Ncuti take center stage, and ease in viewers who wouldn't have been willing to give him a chance otherwise. But that just doesn't happen. Ncuti just doesn't get a chance to shine. The focus is still mostly on 14. I think you know what I'm going to talk about next. This scene is character assassination, I'm sorry. The Doctor is essentially coerced into retiring after a couple of remarks about how he's wearing himself out, despite the fact that he shows no obvious signs of being worn out. So to heal himself, the Doctor confines himself to Earth and lives an uneventful, regular life. The kind of life he said he could never have.
I've never had a life like that.
Can't live like this. Don't make me. I need to be busy.
Here you are, living a life day after day. One adventure I can never have.
You can spend the rest of your life with me, but I can't spend the rest of mine with you. That's the curse of the Time Lords.
But how is the Doctor fixing himself? What is he actually doing? Is he just going to live with the Nobles for a while? What about when they die? Living with them for so long, you think that'd have a very devastating effect on him. But he also still has his TARDIS, and he still uses it, taking Rose and Mel on adventures. And on that note, you'd think Donna would be a bit more apprehensive about her daughter, who she will stop at nothing to protect, going on adventures with the Doctor. Earlier in the episode, she found out what happened to a bunch of the Doctor's companions after her, and how he just tried justifying and excusing their tragic ends. Donna could have just as easily been one of those puppets, with the Doctor trying to justify leading her into the Valley of Death, because she ended up with a family and won the lottery or something. To be honest, Mr. TARDIS explains it way better than me in his review of the episode, so I'd recommend watching that for a better analysis on why this ending doesn't work. I'm also not a big fan of RTD saying that every Doctor bi-generated. It was fine as a one-off thing, mainly because we've already had this Doctor regenerate before, but the idea of all the Doctors just being out there is dumb. It just massively undercuts the weight and emotion of the Doctor regenerating, because the original Doctor isn't even gone. The tragedy and bittersweetness of leaving the Doctor we've come to know and love over the last few seasons is just erased, and so is a large chunk of the themes of change and acceptance and moving on that the show provides. I know this video has made it seem like I hate the current era of Doctor Who. I really don't. To be honest, this video turned into way more of a rant than I expected, but these issues don't ruin the episodes for me by any means. I still get so much enjoyment out of them, aside from a few dodgy lines and creative decisions. This is my main criticism of the era so far. The pieces are there. The opportunity for a more coherent and interwoven narrative is there. The specials just fall short of that. I think partly because of time constraints, and also partly because I think RTD is too focused on the fact that he could do these things, he doesn't stop to consider whether he should. And that's resulted in a few things already that could work, that could be great, but just feel so half-baked. And it's something that I really hope doesn't persist in the future. But I still absolutely stand by my belief that the plot of the Giggle should have been stretched into all 3 specials, and the Star Beast and Wild Blue Yonder could have slotted into Season 1 relatively easily. I absolutely adore RTD as a writer, and I'm very excited to see what he comes up with in this new era. I'm also very excited for Ncuti. His performance in the church on Ruby Road was amazing. He really does channel the bravado and eccentricity of the Doctor really well, while also bringing his own spin on the character. The scene with him singing along to the Goblin song just perfectly encapsulates what I think this new Doctor is all about. A whole new type of confidence and swagger that we've never seen from the Doctor before, and I'm all for it. Regardless of the issues this new era has displayed so far, I have loved it, and I remain incredibly excited for the new era. Still no Paul McGann spin-off though, this new era sucked.